Welcome back, everybody, to the Inside Track, EchoBase's weekly handicapping podcast where we give our analysis, picks, and wagers for a couple of the weekend's top races. I'm your host, Ben Kudla, and today I welcome back Colin Sheehan on the show, host of the Doubling Down podcast, to give his picks on some fantastic Grade 1 races on Travers Day at Saratoga. Please follow Colin on X at CSheehan45 and check out the Doubling Down podcast. Fantastic show. Some big name handicappers who have joined in the past. And Colin, what's Doubling Down all about? A couple weeks ago you mentioned some contests and prizes. The people want to know. I want to know. What's Doubling Down about?
Well, thanks for having me back, Ben, for such an exciting week up at Saratoga. Doubling Down is a weekly show on Trust the Profits over on YouTube where we put together a daily double ticket. As I say, you can't hit a pick five if you can't hit a double, and you'd be surprised watching the show how hard it is to hit a double in some of these sequences. We had me and my co-host Vinny had a long losing streak that we finally snapped out of this past weekend. So we go into Travers weekend back in the green. This is August now and we're in the green. So the show has been successful for us and that's what we want to keep doing. We've just launched on Nessa Nation and we have a contest. You can go to doublingdown.glide.page and play along with us. This month we have a $50 gift card up for grabs.
Hey-o.
This is week 3 of 4 weeks. So you can still get in and make some noise if you could put together the daily double. We're not going to use the Travers because of the field and sovereignty, and we want to give people a shot to get a nice payday. So we'll use a couple of races before that, and you can catch that both on Nessa Nation and Trust the Profits YouTube. And we have a lot of fun, and we love to get people in the comments, and it's a great community for us that love horse racing. So please swing on by.
Oh, that's fantastic. No, seriously, check it out. I've watched the show. For all you watching out there, please check it out. And that's so cool you're doing that, the interactive stuff, the contest, $50 on the line. And for all you Vinny fans out there, he will be on the Inside Track next week. So be sure to tune in for that. I know we're getting all the Trust the Profits guys. But anyway, it's so much fun talking horses with Colin. And we will get to our picks in a few minutes. But first, a little racing recap from last week. Another fantastic King's Plate day at Woodbine. Hope you listened to the Inside Track with Mancetti, winning the 166th running of the King's Plate at odds at 18-1. Pretty sure all of Lexington heard me yelling at my TV in that race. But anyway, She Feels Pretty earned her 5th career Grade 1 graded stakes victory, winning the Grade 1 EP Taylor Stakes at Woodbine, punching her ticket to the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf at Del Mar this fall. Nitrogen, a name synonymous with versatility now, won the Grade 1 Alabama on dirt, following a second-place finish by a nose in the Grade 1 Belmont Derby on the grass. So today's show is all about Saratoga. Colin and I will be handicapping and giving our picks for the Grade 1 H. Allen Jerkens Memorial Stakes, the Grade 1 Ballerina Stakes, the Grade 1 Forego Stakes, and the 1.25 Grade 1 Travers Stakes. But before we begin, the Race to the NHC, a series of free handicapping contests for active Race Lens subscribers, continues this Saturday on horseplayers.com. Top 2 finishers in each one of these weekly feeder contests will make it to the Race Lens Final 50 contest in February. The top two finishers in the Race Lens Final 50 will earn a seat to NHC 2026, along with a travel voucher and a 4-night stay to Horseshoe Casino. Well, there it is. Sign up and play in this weekend's contest on horseplayers.com and learn more today at ecobase.com/NHC. And now is the perfect time to try Racelens. And starting this Monday, August 25th, every Racelens product will be 25% off to celebrate opening weekend at Kentucky Downs. So head on over to ecobase.com on Monday. Take advantage of that promo starting Monday morning. Site-wide 25% off on Racelens. So here we go. Finally, the Grade 1 H. Allen Jerkens Memorial Stakes, the 10th race on Saturday at the Spa. 7 furlongs on the dirt for 3-year-olds. Last year's winner was Domestic Product for trainer Chad Brown with Flavian Pratt aboard. Very, very competitive field of 8 on Saturday. Honestly, looks like a graded stakes race out in Cali. Bob Baffert coming here with 3 entries. Colin, any of the Bafferts on top for you?
Well, let's just start with the sequence in general. I mean, yes, a lot of talk about what the Travers field has attracted with Sovereignty and basically Magnitude. Prior to that, though, you could have a very difficult time finding some winners in these legs, and you can put on your 7 furlong hat as you go through the 3 7 furlong races here leading up to the Travers. And man, I've gone through the races twice now and come out basically in most of them with 3 different horses on top each time. So I think it just goes to show you how competitive it is. I've been start listening to some podcasts that have come out this week, and I'm not alone in feeling like you can make a case for a lot of the horses in a lot of these races, which isn't always the case. Of the Bafferts, I'm interested. Barnes is obviously very intriguing. Horse that's only been beat by journalism, so it's hard to knock the losses that he's had. Baffert hasn't done well up at Saratoga. Shipping across is kind of those concerns. I had him in my top 3. He's been moved out, at least for right now. I think Matticat Road at 6-1 on the morning line is intriguing with Johnny V aboard. Jockey I have great respect for up at Saratoga. Finished second to a horse who I'm really high on, which is Patch Adams, the number 1 for the Brad Cox barn. Your Woody Stevens winner, and 2-time winner at 7 furlongs. But when you look at Matticat Road, finishing second in that Woody Stevens behind Patch Adams, has a little bit, obviously, more experience than Barnes. Barnes is, of course, the $3.2 million horse. So they got to start recouping some of that money. He's early speed. Could be a beast. There's some guys in my Discord that feel like Barnes is just not shown his true talent yet, and he's going to win this race and go on and win the Breeders' Cup. And we can't argue with him because you don't know that we've necessarily seen how good he is. I listened to the Steve Bick show a couple weeks ago, though, and Baffert was extremely high on the horses he was bringing into this race. And the horse that he was highest on is not entered, and that was Gaming. There's some races probably out at Del Mar that Gaming's getting ready for, but that was the one that he was gushing over in that conversation. And I said, watch out for Gaming on Travers weekend, and then I didn't see him entered. So we'll see. But I'm not gonna put one of the Bafferts on top. I'm actually this just changed, and by the time Saturday comes, it's going to change again. It was the 6 Smoking Wicked I had on top.
Okay.
I love Dallas Stewart on these undercard of these big days. He always shows up with a nice little price. This horse started his career up at Saratoga, hasn't stepped up to display that graded stakes talent yet, but he's really consistent in achieving those Equibase speed figures over 100. And, you talked about using Race Lens. I am a Race Lens believer and user through and through. You guys have convinced me. And able to rely on the class figures combined with those Equibase speed figures. And when you see a horse that's just consistently putting up the hundreds, it definitely grabs my attention. Whereas someone like, I'm going to contradict myself here with my on top horse, which changed, so in the last 2 hours, it's changed to the number 5, the other Brad Cox.
All right, now we're gonna put the picks up, everybody. There it is, 5, 6, 1 for Colin.
I went 5 on top. The experience obviously isn't there. This horse has only raced 3 times, but last time out, Ben, this horse nearly broke the record at 7 furlongs at Churchill Downs. It was only 0.33.
I had that written down too.
Yes, off the Churchill Downs record, and that was really, really impressive race. Was able to sit off that weekend, that day, and beat Smoking Wicked, who I just talked about. So if you do the 1 versus 1, well, Verifier's one up on him. Obviously, stepping into the deep end here, Brad Cox thinks he's been training really well, expects a big performance. So I'm kind of between those two, between the 5 and the 6. I see you got the 5 in your mix, but you went elsewhere on top.
I was not planning on picking this horse, and kind of like you, I did go back through it a couple times. I mean, there's just so much value. I liked Patch Adams, I liked Barnes, I liked Verifier. It's very hard for me to bet against my big baby boy Chance McPatrick, but I do think he's in a little bit over his head in here. Honestly, he should have just went in the Travers and just gotten that purse money. I don't like for his preferred route.
Yeah, purse money, but not the distance.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, regardless, I went with the 2 here. Midland Money with a morning line of 8-1. Really intriguing horse today. third choice of the Bafferts as well. A 3-year-old colt by Chancelot. Stands for just 5,000 at Buck Pond in Versailles, Kentucky. He's bought as a weanling for 40,000. And he's bought as a yearling for 130,000 and is sold as a 2-year-old in training for 650,000 with a sire standing for 5,000. So I mean they saw something, and 3 months after his purchase as a 2-year-old, he made his career debut going 5 furlongs in the dirt and made special at Santa Anita and absolutely dominated by 6 lengths on career debut, earning a 94 Echo-based speed figure right off the bat with a hand ride. Sharp debut race. Takes a 14-month layoff and comes back in early August in allowance at Saratoga, going 6 furlongs in the dirt and cruises to a 3 1/4 length victory with Flavian Pratt, and earning a 103 Echo-based speed figure right off the bat again after that 14-month layoff. Crossing the wire with the ears up. I do like to see that as well. Galloping out nicely. They obviously have a ton of high hopes for this horse. In fact, he stayed under Baffert's name for over a year without a race, and they bought him for 650,000 with a 5,000 sire. It's just something to take note of. Another interesting thing is he won his comeback race at Saratoga last time out instead of staying at Del Mar, where he was training for most of the summer. And they've kept him at Saratoga since that August 3rd race as well. He fired a bullet 4 furlongs in 46.22. 4 furlongs and 46.22. That's nuts on August 17th at Saratoga. 1 of 106 working 4 furlongs that day. Pratt was aboard Midland Money last time out at Saratoga, but opts for the undefeated Verifier in here, but no knocks on him to stay on an undefeated Cox horse. Joel Rosario gets the mount on Saturday, which is another interesting thing about this horse. Rosario and Baffert have not teamed up a lot recently, but when they do, they usually fire on all cylinders. Last 5 years, they have 27 starts together in all races with 10 wins, 37%, 74% in the money, positive 7% return on investment. And Baffert, second off the plus 180-day layoff, is winning at 44% as well. So I don't know. This horse could be a freak. 8-1. This is one of these races where they all have a pretty similar chance.
He's the one of only 3 winners for Baffert up at the Spa the last 3 years. The other 2 being that National Treasure and Tall Paul. So I was there Whitney weekend, saw Midland Money, and you made a great point, which me and some of the guys talked about, which he did keep him up at Saratoga as opposed to shipping him back. So that is an interesting, they got him pointed here maybe for this race, and not a bad pick at 8-1. I can't knock you. As I said, I don't think you can knock anybody in this race aside from.
The thing. Yeah, you can make a perfect case for almost everybody in here. I mean,
Rosario was a little bit of my concern, so I did kind of follow Pratt there over to the 5.
Yeah. And rightfully so. I mean,
but I am against Chancer McPatrick. A lot of those shows I talked about listening to, a lot of people are high on Chancer McPatrick here in this race. He's obviously a specialist up at Saratoga, winning 3 out of 4. The pace should probably work to his advantage. He's shown a really great, steady progression. I'm just curious. He dropped down to what I would say, to the restricted Curlin Stakes. The field there, I don't know if there's much in there that you can look at. And look at that race prior to that was the Patch Adams again and Matticat Road, 2 horses who I would prefer in this spot over Chancer McPatrick. So I will include Patch Adams on mine as well.
All right, there you go. Yeah, I mean, look, Chancer, I love him. I love that horse. Oh, and I do have a tendency to get really, really into horses. Hanson was one, like it doesn't seem that long ago, but I was very young. So I actually cried when he lost to Keeneland, for example. So, I'm telling everybody out there that, I guess, but I don't know. It just seems, yeah, I just don't think it's his spot in here. I love it. If he beats me, I'm very happy. That's awesome. But I'll put him in for third, but Midland Money to me at 8-1, I think could just be a top play for me and just kind of single him in some $20 win bet. But I do like Verifier a lot. And past 3 years, I did look this up. Cox and Pratt now are winning at 36% in graded stakes races at Saratoga.
Crazy.
Just like, yeah. So I mean, can't count them out. But there you go. Colin's with the 5-6-1. I'm with the 2-5-4. We got so many races to get through. Let's keep on moving and grooving. So grade 1 Ballerina Stakes, race 11 on Saturday at Saratoga. Like you said, another 7 furlongs on the dirt for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds, and up. Last year's winner was Society for trainer Steve Asmussen. Tyler Gaffley on the board. She went on to finish second, the Breeders' Cup filly and mare sprint, and has not run back since. But anyway, field of 9 in here. Colin, who is your play?
Well, if you're lucky enough to make it through that first leg, you come right into the teeth of another grinder.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, there's really no relief as you kind of go through these 3 stakes races. I really love the one Mystic Lake. I just don't think he's running. I saw he's cross-entered at Charlestown Friday, it looks like.
Yeah, that big night, yeah. Saturday is like every horse up here.
Yeah, so I haven't heard for sure. I just got the inkling. I think that's where he's going. This 2-time Grade 2 winner, Grade 3 winner, early speed, 4 wins at the distance. I love horses that have shown success over the 7 furlongs, so I tried to use that.
It is such a specialized distance, right? You can see horses, they either love 6 furlongs, or they hate 7. It's so weird. It's only a furlong, 1/8 of a mile away, and it just makes all the difference sometimes. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good, but that'll be a reason why I don't like the horse that you picked. But there's a lot of horses in here that have had success at 7 furlongs. And when you're looking at these Grade 1 races, the other thing I like to look at is horses that are, kind of considered Grade 1 horses. Have they won at Grade 1, or have they at least competed at Grade 2 winners? Bright Work, your number 2, was a Grade 1 winner. That was back in 2023. He's only raced 2 times in 2024, 2 races in 2025, but he's 3 for 3 up at Saratoga. I was going back and forth on this 3 Majestic Oops. I love Kendrick Carmouche, my favorite jockey. If you're up there at Saratoga this weekend, he's the best going to the track, coming off the track. He's just such my Cajun brother. He's the best, and he's great on horses, getting them out of the gate and putting them on the front end, which is a style that I think Majestic Oops would be best suited for here. This horse was second in the Grade 3 Molly Pitcher last time out behind Randomized. Prior to that, rattled off 3 victories. So that horse is interesting for me. I ultimately ended up on the number 5, Claret Beret, I believe is how I heard it called in the last in that last replay. And that last replay that I watched is exactly the reason that I was interested in this horse. Going against Vava, a horse that I have a lot of respect for, and the stretch run of that last race was really game. I thought that was a really big effort. Race goes a little bit longer. I think she catches Vava there. Safi and Irad's just having another unbelievable year up at Saratoga. He could have claimed this horse back in October of 24 for 62.5. I thought that was maybe not as intriguing for the class races. That's a reason that I'm a little worried about the number 5. I rely highly on the class ratings of the horse, the races that the horse has run in prior. This class rating today is a 109. Yes, that Chicago Stakes was a 103, but prior to that, this number 5 has really only had, 80s and 90s on the class. So definitely a concern for me, because when you get to these Grade 1s, you want the horses that are the class, right? You want the class of the class. But we'll take a shot. I'm going to use a favorite in the next leg, and I used some shorter prices in the last leg. So the first leg. So we'll use this number 5 at 6-1. I will put that 3 in second. It was the 8 I had in that second spot before we started doing this show. My main squeeze for Michael Maker and Luis Saez. This is a Grade 2, Grade 3 winner. Saez has been successful aboard this horse. He also ran in that same race, finishing 5th against Vava that day. I like the versatility. And look at 9 races at the 7 furlongs, 3 wins, 2 seconds, and 3 thirds. I ended up dropping him off of my ticket because I thought the 9 Hope Road. And why I keep talking, Ben, is just because, again, you could go in so many directions, and the decisions that we make here taping this on Wednesday could certainly be different than what my ticket looks like on Saturday, as we both take into consideration scratches and maybe weather over the next couple of days. The 9 Hope Road is another Bob Baffert that comes in here for Jose. Has been off since May, but has been working really nicely. Does not have
4 6-furlong bullets in a row for Hope Road.
Yeah,
just was 1 out of 2, but I mean, still.
Well, they, not many are working out at 6 furlongs, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But what popped to me was the exact opposite of what I said about the 5 is the class rating that Equibase shows. This horse is running at 109s, 104, 102, 107, and running against Copian. So, I think Hope Road has a legit shot here. Is on the outside early speed. So we will go 5-3-9 for my picks, at least as we tape this on the 20th. Come 23rd, you might want to text me and see if it's changed.
Well, Colin and I are pretty similar here. I added the 4 in there just from a couple, little race lens angle. But I do want to start with Claret Beret. Just going back to when she was claimed for 62.5. So she in that race that she finally goes back on the dirt, by the way. So she broke her rating on the dirt. They bring her to the turf for whatever reason. They're like, oh, she's not very good. They put her back on the dirt. Anyway, she gets claimed for 62.5, airs by 6 3/4 lengths, going 7 furlongs on the dirt, claimed by Greg Compton. But she heads to Oaklawn to run a very competitive allowance race, finishing 4th by just 2 1/4 lengths after that. And she wins that same level at Oaklawn in February, going a mile 16th on the dirt, and finishes 5th on allowance optional claimer at Oaklawn in March, and was bought privately by Miller Racing, and she was switched to the Saffy barn. First start with Saffy, dominates by 19 3/4 lengths in the handicap at Gulfstream, going a mile on the dirt in May, earning a 100 Echo Base speed figure. And last time out in her second start for Saffy, she ran a very game second, that Grade 2 Chicago Devava, like you said, earning a career best 111. Horses in greatest stakes races on dirt with the highest last race, Echo Base speed figure winning at 32% the past 6 months, 51 wins from 158. So that 111 is the highest, best last race in here. But she also has the best, highest late pace rating as well with a 122, 7 points higher than anybody else. I mean, she can stalk off the pace. She can take them wire to wire. I just think the fact that she was bought privately after finishing 5th, you know, just really, really interesting horse. That 6-1 morning line, I rad up, Saratoga leader. But so Colin and I agreeing with the 5 there. And then we also agree on Hope Road in third. I mean, finishing pretty gamely to Copian really only. And she's able to have that distance. But I'm a little bit worried about her wanting the lead way out there on the outside. So I kind of went elsewhere. But this 4, really intriguing horse, a Tolly filly for Phil Bauer. Joel Rosario aboard. Phil Bauer does not run a whole lot at Saratoga, but when he does, his horses run well. Past 3 years, in all races at Saratoga, Bauer's winning at 30%, 16 wins from 54 starts, 56% in the money of the positive, 56% return on investment. Joel Rosario aboard on Saturday, first time riding. Bauer and Rosario are 4 for 4 in all races at Saratoga in the last 3 years. 4 starts, 4 different horses, 4
Look at
wins.
that.
I don't know. I think there's something to be said for that. 4 different
Yeah,
horses.
absolutely. He ships them to win.
Yeah, he does. He does. He's a really smart trainer. Like you could just tell, like in his interviews, like he's an intelligent guy. But I mean, and she's 11 from 14, lifetime in the money with 6 wins, 3 of those wins being in stakes races. She won that Ruthless Stakes at Aqueduct in February 2024, going 7 furlongs on the dirt. She won the Galway Stakes at Saratoga, going 5.5 on the dirt. Last time out, she won that Grade 2 Honorable Miss Stakes at Saratoga on July 20th by half a length, with favorite Scylla in here finishing third, behind Holiness. So she earned her career best 103 for first grade stakes victory. She's 2 for 2. Saratoga 1 for 3 at the 7 furlong distance. Phil Bauer 10-1. Could be interesting. Yeah. So I still I'm a bad podcaster. I still haven't figured out what bets I want to do for that race yet. But those are my top 3.
Yeah, my concern about the 4, I just wrote down my notes where is this horse better at the 5, 6.5 furlongs? The dam and the
100% my exact same.
The dam and the siblings
he could really be a real sprinter,
Yeah, it does have the victory at 7 furlongs. That was last year, I believe. And
that Ruthless Stakes. Yeah,
the dam and the siblings have all proven that they're a little bit better at the 5.5, 6.5 window. So, look, you can make a case for so many in here. You got to find a reason. You found some great ones to like the horse, especially based on those odds. And that was what I wrote down as far as maybe a play against for me. But that's why this sport's so great.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. I mean, hey, if it's Claret Barrett over Helena's Force, that would be a nice day. All right. Well, let's move on to the Grade 1 Forego Stakes, race 12 on Saturday's card at Saratoga. Another 7 furlong Grade 1 on the dirt. The Forego is for 4-year-olds and up. Breeders' Cup winning you're in for the Grade 1 dirt mile. Top tiers of top tier horses have won this race recently. Midnight Loot 2007, Whitmore 2018, Yaupon 2021. I don't know if you all remember that when Frenzy Fire tried to bite his face off.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and Cody's Wish 2022, Gunite 2023. Last year's winner was Mulligan for trainer Rudy Brissett with Flavian Pratt aboard. Mulligan went on to run third in last year's Breeders' Cup Sprint. Field of 11 on Saturday, headlined by everyone's favorite New Jersey bred Bookham Dano as the 8-5 morning line favorite. Anybody beating him in here, Colin, or you're keeping him on top?
I am going to keep him on top. I thought, thought he was probably the best of this sequence that we're looking. Well, aside from Sovereignty, probably the best of these first three races that we looked at. I feel like you have a lot of grade 3 and stakes winners stepping up to try to get to the grade 1 level. I wrote down who are my legit grade 1 horses, and I wrote down the 1, the 4, and the 7. Most wanted, Bookham Dano and Mulligan. That doesn't necessarily mean they've won grade 1s, but I'm just trying to basically trying to weed out who's legit and who's not. And I put as maybe the 2, 3, and 6. Could be some of those horses that are, quote unquote, up and coming and maybe could take the step forward. So my notes have it as I'd kind of be surprised if it, I know this is a lot of horses, but I'd kind of be surprised if it's not the 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, or 7. So I started there and started to try and whittle down that group of horses. I'm not a fan of Extra Neho. I don't think he's a grade 1 horse. Crazy Mason with the crazy running style just likes to fall all the way behind and try to come back. I think that's dangerous. We'll see how the track's
crazy.
He's crazy. Scotland's a horse I love. He gets home at prices. I saw Hold My Bourbon. That was one of my best bets on Whitney Day. But I just couldn't find, I don't know that you can take out Bookham Dano. I mean, he's really proven. Yeah. He's proven up at Saratoga being 3 for 4. He's proven at the distance being 3 for 6. And then I watched, if you're going to go somewhere, maybe it's Mulligan, who has raced against Bookham Dano last 2 times out, went back and watched those replays, and it's just like Bookham Dano's kind of flying by him at the end. And how does Mulligan turn the tables on Bookham Dano? 2 back was
this is how I see it with these 2 horses right now. All right, this time last year, you're just looking at Bookham Dano and Mulligan. Mulligan was miles ahead, and Bookham Dano was here last year. Now it's completely switched. I mean, Mulligan was going into the Forego with 3 straight wins, plus a grade 2 win. Now he hasn't won since the last Forego. And then you look at Bookham Dano, last year at that time, he's running 2nd, 3rd, and 5th, and now he's two back-to-back grade stakes wins in a row. So honestly, that right there to me, Paco Lopez has been riding unreal. He had 5 wins yesterday too. He's 3 for 6 at Saratoga this meet. I think it's just all book. If between those 2, if you're only looking at those 2, I just think Bookham Dano is at this point in both of their careers miles ahead.
Yeah, and the speed figures play that out. Exactly what you just said. Where last year Bookham Dano is high 90s, gets around 108, 109. This year he comes out 104 at Churchill, off of a layoff, then comes back, runs a 119 in the True North, followed up by a 115 in the Vanderbilt. So if you figure he's going to go, let's just say even if he regresses a little bit from the Vanderbilt and maybe goes 113, Mulligan has kind of shown himself being in that 107 to 110 range. So, you don't want to play totally on figures, but it plays exactly what you just said, and the numbers prove that out. So, yeah, for me, I'm going to go Bookham Dano on top, and maybe this is probably, if you're playing a pick 5, for me, this is, single going here into the Travers is kind of what I have on my mind right now.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'll definitely back up Bookham Dano. But another thing with Pratt going to board Mulligan, I do believe it's a French thing. They got that connection, and B, he wants his Breeders' Cup mount back. I don't know if it necessarily has anything to do with this race. I did want to throw my 2 cents out there on that one because I did pick horse that he got off of. The 2 here, Bishop's Bay, morning 6-1, which I was stoked about. Ultra consistent 5-year-old son Uncle Mo out of a Pioneer the Nile Dam. The Brad Cox with Irad Ortiz Jr. first time riding. 100% in the exacted career, posting 7 wins, 3 seconds from 10 starts. started his career way back in February of 2023 at Fairgrounds. I was still working on a farm then. But anyway, winning by 3/4 of a length, earning a 102 Equibase speed figure on career debut. Wins his next start and allowance optional claimer a month later. Then he runs second by a head in the Grade 3 Peter Pan Stakes to Archangelo, who won the Grade 1 Belmont Stakes and the Grade 1 Travers following that Peter Pan in 2023. And then after the Peter Pan, he runs second to 2 Phils in the Grade 3 Ohio Derby, finished second to Mage in the 2023 Kentucky Derby. Following that Ohio Derby, though, in June of 2023, we did not see Bishop's Bay on the track for nearly a year and a half. He comes back in November last year, coming off a 17-month layoff, and wins an allowance right off the bat by 2 lengths at Horseshoe Indy. Then he goes to Oaklawn in January, running second by a head and allowance optional claimer before firing 4 straight wins coming into this race. He won at that same level next out by 3 3/4 at Oaklawn in January. Then he wins the West Chester Stakes at Belmont, the Big A in May. And the last time out, he dominates that Grade 3 Salvatore Mile by 5 lengths in June over Surface to Air, who just won the Grade 3 Monmouth Cup Stakes over Just a Touch. And last weekend won the Grade 3 Phillip Island Stakes over First Mission. Beat 2 under 1-to-1 shots in a row. And this will be Bishop's Bay's first start since that Salvatore Mile, so if that says anything for you. And since that 17-month layoff, he's earned a triple-digit Equibase speed figure in every single start. 101 to a 108 to a 108 to a 108 to a 110 and a 111.
Nice progression.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah, I know. Running the 7 furlong distance for the first time. Has not run a sprint race since his career debut 2.5 years ago. But have no fear, over the past 2 years, Cox is winning at 32%. Horses going from routes to sprints, all races, 30 wins from 94 starts, 65% in the money. I thought, just to try to beat Bookham Dano and Mulligan, you need something crazy interesting. This horse could be it. I mean, I said this earlier in the show, but everybody and their mother owns this horse. It's like top-notch farms, and like you said, for $450, yes, that's a lot of money. But these are multi-billion-dollar farms, that don't really need a split. $450, so that's interesting. They never gelded him in that whole 17-month layoff as well. They have a lot of high hopes.
Of the horses that are stepping up, what I would call like big steps, right? Grade 3 all the way up to Grade 1. He would be the most interesting for me in my win percentage probabilities in Racelands. Racelands actually has the 2 on top at 25%, which I thought was interesting. So that definitely caught my eye. It has Bookham Dano second and Mulligan third. But I'm just gonna, when you hit some of these Grade 1 races, I really tend to rely on the horses that I've at least seen run in Grade 1s and Grade 2s to know if they're that quality, and so I will rely on that to get me through here.
Oh, fair enough. No knocks. I mean, I think there's probably a 95% chance Bookham Dano is going to win, but I don't know. No, I honestly, Bishop's Bay might even be 7-1. I mean, all that money is going to go on those two, just dueling it out. So we'll see, but they tend to run pretty much together, so counterparts to each other. Well, anyway, so there's Colin's picks, going with Bookham Dano over Most Wanted, over Mulligan. I'm going Bishop's Bay over Bookham Dano over Mulligan. So here we go. Last but not least, the Travers Stakes. Race 13 on Saturday at Saratoga, 6:14 p.m. Eastern time for that post time. So for everybody looking on TV. But anyway, 1.25 miles on the dirt for 3-year-olds. Best of the best have competed in this race, with some heavy hitters winning this race in the past. Just to name a few, there's a lot, but Easy Goer 1989, Sea Hero 1993, Thunder Gulch 1995, Lemon Drop Kid 1999, Medaglia to Oro 2002, Flower Alley 2005, Bernardini 2006, Street Sense 2007, and Arrogate in 2016. There's a lot in between there. Those are just my personal favorites, but last year's winner was Fierceness for trainer Todd Pletcher with Johnny V aboard. A thrilling stretch run. Horse of the Year, Torpedo Anna, finishing second. Just a field of 5 for this year's Travers, headlined by Kentucky Derby and Belmont Stakes winner Sovereignty. What are your thoughts on this year's Travers?
Well, if you follow me on X or you listen to me on Trust the Profits, I've always said I'm going to stay true to myself and always be positive, both in life and also when it comes to horse racing, because when you're not, you can become the target of many and you can take a lot of stray bullets. And I know that there's a lot of talk of poo-pooing what's happened with the Travers and so many horses that are ducking it to go to what apparently is going to be the most competitive, greatest Pennsylvania Derby field of all time. It's just everyone wants to go there. I think there's some reasons to that. I think there's a lot of horses in this year's crop that don't want the mile and a quarter, so you get to shorten up a little bit in the Pennsylvania Derby. And so what? If Sovereignty's in the race and it's a 5-horse field. He's right now the most exciting horse for us that are horse fans to watch because of how he's won the races, what he's done in the Derby, and how he's competed. So how can we be upset with seeing the best horse at the Midsummer Classic? I know we want competition, but if it's going to be the competition that he just continues to blow away, why does it matter if it's 10 or if it's 5 horses? And I also know that there is a little bit of a problem with trainers should be taking shots. I mean, you can't be that scared of a horse. You never know what's going to happen, right? I mean, look at Keen Ice against American Pharaoh in the Travers Stakes. Things like that can happen, and it is what it is.
VE Day,
EE,
26,
EED.
2014.
There you go.
VE Day. Yeah, I remember that one. Only because I had him, but he's like 20.
When you see Vinny up at Saratoga, he's been to every single Travers, and he knows all of the winners, and he was answering trivia in the Discord. So you're going with the Travers
Oh,
Pro. So,
all right.
so
I'm gonna get some trivia. I'm gonna get some really deep trivia though.
you
We'll see.
bring your deep trivia for Vinny, and he'll see what he can do.
That's what I'm gonna do on the plane tomorrow. Now I'm just gonna get
Love
trivia
it.
questions
You can
for
see what
Vinny.
you can get him. We had a good one for him, which was whose only finish was outside the top 2 in the Kentucky Derby and Preakness that won the Travers and ran second in the Breeders' Cup twice. And Vinny had it. That ended up being Medagliadoro, who you just mentioned. But, this year's Travers still has some intrigue with Magnitude. Magnitude's a horse that if you were watching racing on February 16th, everyone was talking about what happened the day before in the Risen Star when Magnitude pops up a monster performance and then unfortunately goes right to the bench right after that, comes back and backs it up with a pretty nice race in the Iowa Derby. Of course, people will poo-poo the field and say, oh, it's just the Iowa Derby, but showed skill winning that race by another 9 lengths, putting up a 111 Equibase speed figure. Ben Curtis comes back aboard. So I said before we started taping, I've been very confident in Sovereignty from Jump Street. For 1 year, I'm finally on the right horse and have followed him and got his Belmont Stakes picture right up here, right behind me already on the wall. And I was confident in him in the Derby. I was confident in him in the Belmont Stakes. I was confident in him in the Jim Dandy. Obviously, journalism laid a little bit of a threat, but I really felt like Sovereignty is a better horse. If Sovereignty's going to get beat out of these 5 races that I just mentioned, this is the one I'm probably most nervous about. It's a 5-horse field. Magnitude can get out on that front end if he gets it easy and is able to kind of sneak away. I can see that situation where he gets to the line before Sovereignty. Now, I still think Sovereignty's the better horse. But that's your intrigue of your race. I mean, there's some others in here that, back at Bracket Buster. Strategic Focus is a lightly raced horse who ran, as you mentioned, behind Chancellor McPatrick last out. McAfee. I just feel like we've seen enough of these to know that they're not on this level, and I don't think we've seen enough of Magnitude to know where his ceiling is yet. So if it's a match race, I'm all for it as many times as I can get to see Sovereignty run. Why don't we be thankful that he's not hurt? Why don't we be thankful that he's not been put away already? And let's just cherish every time that we get to see him hit the racetrack is how I approach these races. I think if you're finishing your pick 5 here, you got to pick one, take a stand. Unless you've got some strong opinions in those earlier races and you can maybe use both of them. I wouldn't doubt that, but you got to go pretty skinny. And we just talked through some really difficult races to go skinny.
With some huge value. And what's Magnitude really going to be? How much more, 3 to 1.
Yeah, and is that what you want him at? I mean, that would be the reason where that's why you can be angry that there's not a big field because you're not getting the value that you want on Magnitude. But if you want to try and beat Sovereignty, I can see that scenario happening. For me, I'm Sovereignty. Not going to get off that bus. I think he's the best 3-year-old. I haven't seen anything to tell me otherwise, and we'll keep riding that cash cow, and we'll single him for me at least in the pick 5.
Yeah, all single for me on the pick 5 as well. I rarely do pick 5s. I was telling Colin before the show. I've had to get this pretty hard. I think this might be a day for a heavy pick 5. There's just so much value on the undercard. It's just lovely. I thoroughly enjoyed handicapping these races. But yeah, I went with Sovereignty. I just don't see anybody beating him. I mean, those just ginormous strides, swallowing up. He's going to stalk right there. But like you said, Magnitude, I guess that's the best shot is to run away with it on the front end. And he did a pretty good job of it in his last two starts, winning by a combined margin of 19 lengths.
Both at Saratoga, too.
That was Fairgrounds Pimlico, right?
Oh, I was talking Celebrity, sorry.
Oh, you're talking about. Oh, okay. Yeah. He's got 2 wins and 2 for 2 at the distance Sovereignty. But Magnitude, I mean, he could just steal on the front end. That's the only thing I could see. It seems to be the only legitimate contender. I feel bad saying that because, Strategic Focus is one that we just haven't seen a lot of. Just 3 starts under his belt, 2 wins, but he only has 1 win. He's DQ'd to second there at an allowance optional at Saratoga back in June. But he runs third by half length the Chancer. The reason why is Chancer just not running in this one? Whatever.
Yeah, I just don't think he's a two-turn.
I guess maybe, but anyway, I regress. Yeah, I'm gonna single there on Sovereignty, but yeah,
Smart man.
I like your I like your positivity with it though. At least we can see him run. That's awesome. It's a whole thing. I mean, obviously, Godolphin and the Travers have found a lot of success in the past.
And how great are the races leading up to it? I mean, we've walked through
yeah.
3 of them that are just superb. So enjoy that, right?
No, it's be a great day at the spa on Saturday. But anyway, please check out that Doubling Down podcast on Trust the Profits YouTube. Very entertaining show, and get in on that $50 gift card this weekend's contest. Colin, thank you so much for being on. Thank you everybody so much for watching. Good luck in all your wagers this weekend, and we'll see you next week.